Hello, welcome. Welcome. This is the global community for adults who are healing CPTSD. My name is Athena, and I'm going to be facilitating our time together. And if you're new here, if this is your very first time clicking on one of our videos, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for your presence. We see you, we honor your process. We're glad that you're here with us. We are a community of adults who are healing from repeated relational trauma. And we have all been gathering here together about once a week for 12 years now. I keep forgetting if it's almost 12 years or over 12 years. You all are like, Athena, you do this every few weeks. You're getting old, you can't remember. Let's see, 15, 16, 17, 19, 20, almost 12 years. It'll be 12 years coming up in the summer. So your presence here is welcome and valued and appreciated and felt, regardless of your ability to be here with us if you're listening on a replay. And before we get too far into our time together tonight, I want to let you know that two things. Number one, we will probably run long tonight because we are wrapping up the end of the book, and we will be starting back over on the 12th of January, doing a bit of a deeper dive. And I'm still figuring out how it is that I am going to do that. If I'm going to do that in recorded videos that I release here, or if I do it via live stream, the way that we are doing it now. I'm contemplating it all. I'm getting ready to, as you know, I'll be away spending some time with my grandson. So I'm going to be thinking while I am in airports and long layovers and dealing with wind advisories and snow and holiday hustle and bustle. I will be contemplating how we are going to spend time together here in 2026. So yeah, two things. I know I said I was going to give you two things. Number one, we're going to run long tonight. And number two, my voice. I lost my voice completely 3 or 4 days ago. And I've been sort of battling some sort of a throat virus thing. So if I lose my voice or it gets a little bit rough tonight, I'll be taking sips of water and yeah. So I just wanted to let you know those two things ahead of time. And a very special thank you to John Harvey, Ninja Taco, and to Jeffrey Sherman. Really, really appreciate you. Really appreciate you moderating the chat box, sitting beside me in solidarity, week after week, month after month, year after year, as we all choose to gather together here and glance at what it might look like to heal from the things we never asked for, repeated relational trauma. And again, if you're new here, a lot of us in this community, our trauma began when we were in childhood, and we didn't really know that it was trauma because all you know is all you know, and you don't know what you don't know. So here we are, gathering together, and we are doing the best we can to create those pockets of safe enoughness in our lives where we can enjoy the lives that we are creating. So So yeah, if that is you, you are in the right place. And thank you, thank you, thank you to each and every one of you for being here and being on this journey. But especially John Harvey, Ninja Taco, and Jeffrey Sherman. I couldn't do this without your assistance and without you. I couldn't do this. So thank you. It's an honor to heal beside each and every one of you. And especially during the holidays, it is a really appropriate time to glance at the things we feel very fortunate to get to experience. And being here with each of you every single week is one of those things I feel very fortunate to be able to experience on a very regular basis. So thank you very, very much. I want to just say hello to those of you who are here. My chat box is frozen for some reason. So very warm welcome and a very heartfelt hello to you, Jeffrey Sherman, Candida, Kitty, Jen, Lisa Marie, Nadine. Oh, so good to see you. Hello, Mary. We missed you last week. We were talking about you. I saw that Craig left us a message last week. Hello, Greg. So good to see you. Thank you for saying hello. Thank you to each of you who are saying hello. Jen, we missed you last week. If you weren't here last week or I didn't get a chance to say hello to you, then hello, we missed you. Oh, and before I forget to post it, because I always forget, this YouTube channel is made possible by the Foundation for Post-Traumatic Healing and Complex Trauma Research, and even more specifically, those of you who choose to join us in our community away from social media. You are a very big part of the reason why I'm even able to continue doing what I love to do, which is come here and spend time with you and record resources and support and real live healing, and what that looks like for the greater healing population, those who are just finding our YouTube channel, a decade later, 10, 11, 12 years later, and they didn't even know that there was a such thing as a healing journey. It feels very foreign to them. So thank you for being here, and thank you to the foundation, to every single one of the volunteers. Started off with just a couple of us, and now we have 20 people that are helping make sure that resources are made available. Low cost and no cost resources are made available to adults in over 180 countries so far. I think it's 183 countries. I might be off. There might be a couple more or a couple less. But people that are really, really struggling and don't have access. Many of them don't even have access to clean drinking water, but they have a Wi-Fi signal, and they are able to know that they are not alone and that they're not the only ones who have been through what they've been through. So thank you. Thank you so much. Greg says, by the way, Ninja Taco's name always cracks me up. It's hard to visualize that. Right? Yeah. He's my recovery buddy. We've been at this a really long time, going on 12 years, I believe. Over 10, that's for sure. But yeah, his name cracks me up too. All right, so we are going to run a little long tonight. If you have to go, you have to go. I honor you. I honor your time. I respect your time. For those of you who are just joining us in week 28 of our glance at Pete Walker's most recent book, Holistically Treating Complex PTSD, a Six-Dimensional Approach, tonight we are wrapping up the resources that Pete recommends to survivors and practitioners. And then we are going to take a break, and I will be back in 2 weeks. I'm going to take a 2-week break. I will not be here with you next week. I'll be here with you the following week on January 12th. So we are starting at the top of page 399. But before I do that, I do want to check in with you and ask you about the volume. Make sure that the volume is good for you. Make sure the music's not too loud, my voice is not too soft. Thank you, Candida. Thank you, John Harvey. Oh, sure, Jeffrey Sherman, yes. Jeffrey says, Athena, could you give me your team member's email again? I was never actually made a mod, which is my fault. Yeah, no problem. You know what? Email support, the word support, at cptsdfoundation.org. And you know what? While we're here together, I will send Mark. His name is Mark, M-A-R-K. And I will send him a message. 1 second. Hello, Mark. I'm here on our Monday night YouTube live stream, our weekly discussion group. And Jeffrey Sherman is going to be reaching out to you so that he can be made a moderator on the YouTube channel. He has been distributing resources, like crisis resources for everyone, letting everyone know how to get in touch with crisis resources should they be in crisis during our weekly discussion groups. And so I want to make sure that he has moderator status, like that he's part of the Blue Wrench crew. And he's going to reach out to you on your email address, the support email address. So thank you so much. I appreciate it. And it'll just be sometime within the next week or so. And everybody knows, I just reminded everyone that I would be gone next week and that I won't be back until the 12th. So thank you so much for all you do. I'll be back later to debrief you on all the pages that we make it through tonight. Okay, thank you. Bye. Okay, so yeah, Mark will, you're very welcome. Thank you. Thank you. Mark is wonderful. He will get you all set up. And hello, Vanessa. So good to see you. Always so good to see you. We are just getting started. For those of you who are keeping track, if you are in the paperback book, we are at the top of page 399. And if you are on the Kindle version, if you have great eyesight, that could be page 100 and something. But if you have eyesight like mine, you are on page 2497 because my eyes are pretty bad the older I get. I think it's pretty interesting. But my son is an ophthalmologist now, and so I'm going to be speaking with him about my prescription when I see him in a few days and see what my options are for possibly getting LASIK. Yes, I will have to wear the readers, but perhaps it's better than having the minus 4.25 or whatever it is, right? Right now I'm very nearsighted, which means I can see near without my glasses. But if I get the LASIK, then I would be able to see really great far away, and I would just need to wear the readers, which would be kind of fun because, you know, they can be super funky and cool, and you can get like 10 pair for like $5 on Amazon. So I digress. Enough about my old lady issues. It's wild getting older, you guys. I feel like it's such a beautiful gift to age because not everybody gets the opportunity to age. And at the same time, there are unique things like eyesight that just, over the past 20 years, about 22 years, I've gone from a like minus 0.25 to a minus 4.25. So do the math, right? It's a degenerative thing, and I have astigmatism, so I don't know what any of that means, although I can see great as long as I take my driving or, far away glasses off and just use my normal eyes. But now, without my glasses on that I would typically be wearing to drive and do things, I can't see the chat box. You're all just very blurry and soft focus. So, thank goodness that doesn't matter to you. So, okay. Oh, Nadine's nearsighted also. Oh, and so is Vanessa. Oh, you gotta get LASIK every 10 years? What? Kitty's nearsighted too. The people listening to the replay are like, whatever, old lady, just read us the book. Oh, Nadine. Can't see the big E, but correct it with glasses. Well, I'm glad you got it corrected with glasses, Nadine. Oh, you're too nearsighted to get the LASIK. Oh, wow. Candida has astigmatism. It is like a light show, right? I didn't know that it was Nadine says it runs in my family. And I didn't know that it was that there was a genetic component. Brave Vanessa also has astigmatism. Ooh, Jeffrey Sherman's got some good eyesight. Mary's in the nearsighted club with all of us. Wow. And so is Jen, -7. Jen, I'm at -4.25. Nadine also has astigmatism. I'm wondering, Kitty. Kitty says, I'm young, but my eyesight has gotten progressively worse over the last 9 years. I'm wondering, you all of us here with astigmatism and that are nearsighted. And Vanessa says, I've had glasses since I was 3 months old. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. So that might answer my question, but what is your hypothesis regarding computer usage or screens? Do you think the screens have something to do with our eyesight being not so great? John Harvey's had glasses since he was 13. Thank you all for sharing with me. Hello, Summer Everyday. Thank you so much for being here. Summer says 100%. So perhaps it is. Hello, Ninja Taco. We were talking about you behind your back, in front of your back. Good to see you, recovery buddy. So glad you're here. Just to catch you up, we're all nearsighted and we all have astigmatism. I know that was the burning question you had as you showed up tonight, Ninja Taco. No, but please remember, Ninja Taco, I might forget to message you, but I won't be here next week. I will be back. I'll be back the 12th. So, we are starting at the top of page 399. We are going to run long, and if someone could please let everyone know in the rendered video when it renders that the content of the book actually starts at 20 minutes after. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it. And here we go, top of page 399 in Pete Walker's most recent book, Holistically Treating Complex PTSD, a 6-dimensional approach. And this is a subsection of the book titled Tools for Lovingly Resolving Conflicts. And here we go. Pete says, this is a list of techniques and perspectives I've gathered over the years to help couples resolve conflict as lovingly as possible. When I give it to them, those with whom I work with, I ask them to take time at home to read it aloud to one another and discuss each one as much as necessary to see how many they can agree to adopt as guidelines for handling conflict. When I first got together with my wife 21 years ago, now remember, this is Pete speaking, he's been healing for 40 years. And he got together with his wife 21 years ago while he was in the middle of healing CPTSD. So this doesn't mean that we are all destined and doomed to be alone forever and ever, like many of us often talk about. He says, when I first got together with my wife 21 years ago, we spent considerable time on a weekend trip discussing these guidelines, one at a time. We aired our concerns, enthusiasms, caveats, and reservations about using them. Over subsequent years, we refined our usage of them and have evolved a communication style around our conflicts that has helped to keep our intimacy healthy and ever growing. Number 1, normalize the inevitability of conflict and establish a safe forum for it. Discuss and agree to as many of these guidelines as seem useful. Number 2, the goal is to inform and negotiate for change, not punish. Punishment destroys trust. Love can open the ears of the other's heart. Number 3, imagine how it would be easier to hear about your grievance from the other. Say it as it would be easier for you to hear. Number 4, preface complaints with acknowledgement of the good of the other and your mutual relationship. Number 5, no name-calling, sarcasm, or character assassination. Number 6, no analyzing the other or mind reading. Number 7, no interrupting or filibustering. Number 8, be dialogical. Give short, concise statements that allow the other to reflect back and paraphrase key points to let you hear that you are accurately being heard. Number 9, no denial of the other's rights as outlined in the Bill of Rights. And we have the Bill of Rights, which is, I think we have Did we read through the Bill of Rights? Last week we did, right? If you missed the Human Bill of Rights, Go about halfway through last week's video and you should be able to hear it, just in case you want a refresher of the Bill of Rights. Top of page 400, number 10. Differences are often not a matter of right or wrong. Both people can be right and merely different. Be willing to sometimes agree to differ. Number 11, avoid you statements and use I statements that identify your feelings and your experience of what you perceive as unfair. Number 12, one specific issue with accompanying identifiable behavior at a time. Ask yourself what hurts the most to try to find your key complaint. Number 13, stick to the issue until both persons feel fully heard. Take turns presenting the issues. Number 14, present a complaint as lovingly and calmly as possible. Number 15, time outs. And there's an asterisk here, just so you know. We're going to talk a little bit more about time outs in a moment. And then we'll also talk more about numbers 18, 19, and 20, which is transference. Okay? So this is timeouts, and remember, we're going to go deeper into it. Pete says, if discussion becomes heated, either person can call a timeout from 1 minute to 24 hours, as long as she or he nominates a time to resume. Number 16, discharge as much of any accumulated charge beforehand as possible. Number 17, own responsibility for any accumulated charge in the anger that might come from not talking about it soon enough. And this is numbers 18, 19, and 20. Number 18 says, own responsibility for accumulated charge displaced from other hurts. And number 19 is, commit to grow in your understanding of how much of your charge comes from childhood abuse or neglect. And then number 20 is, commit to recovering from the losses of childhood by effectively identifying, grieving, and reclaiming them. And lastly, number 21, apologize from an unashamed place. Make whatever amends are possible. Include your intention to correct your behavior in the future. Explain your extenuating circumstances as evidence, not as an excuse that you were not trying to be hurtful. So a little bit more here now on timeouts, and then also on transference, which were the taking responsibility for things that are perhaps older or from childhood or things that build up. So Pete says, bottom of page 400, regarding timeouts, 2 of the most common reasons that relationships break up is irreconcilable differences and irreparable damages. The latter could have been prevented in many cases if couples knew how to use timeouts judiciously. This is especially true for fight-type trauma survivors who, when flashing back, can easily lose control to the outer critic and say intimacy destroying things. Survivors benefit greatly from learning to recognize the signs of being overactivated so that they can take time outs to stop the bleeding caused by a critic on the rampage. Things said in the heat of a flashback can wound deeply and engrave themselves in the psyche of the other in ways that cripple trust. So much of this needless intimacy destruction can be prevented if both members of the couple agree that either of them can call a timeout whenever they feel too triggered to be lovingly confrontive, or are experiencing the other as flashing back into being overly aggressive. Timeouts can range from 1 minute to 24 hours, depending on how long it takes either or both partners to achieve good enough flashback management. Timeouts work best when the person calling them nominates a time to resume conflict resolution so that timeouts do not become techniques for dodging issues. Timeouts can be used individually as a time to release any accumulated charge, and this can be done by using the safe angering out techniques that I describe in Chapter 8 of this book and in Chapter 5 of The Tao of Fully Feeling. Now we're towards the bottom of page 401, and Pete is going to go in a little bit deeper with regards to transference, which were numbers 18, 19, and 20 on owning responsibility for accumulated charge, on displaced hurts that came from other places, or understanding how much of our charge comes from childhood abuse and neglect, and then recovering our commitment to recovering from our losses of childhood by effectively identifying, grieving, and reclaiming them. So on the topic of transferring that pain onto our partners, Pete says, in using this list with couples, I notice that those who are most skilled in conflict resolution have achieved significant skill with steps 18 through 20. These steps are about learning to work through transference in ways that don't damage intimacy and trust. Top of page 402. For trauma survivors, transference is often a type of flashback whereby survivors unconsciously react to their significant others as though they were their childhood caretakers. When this occurs, they displace onto them a great deal of their unresolved childhood emotional pain. One common example of this occurs when a partner's fair and minor complaint triggers a torrent of rage, fear, and or shame that is left over from decades of a parent's overwhelming and rejecting criticism. Another instance of this occurs when the failure to say what one was hoping to hear stirs up the pain of decades of their aloof, detached mother or father's neglect. The composition of most conflicts that I witness in my office eventually seems to be approximately 90% re-experienced pain from the past and 10% actual current pain. Harville Hendrix's Getting the Love You Want is a wonderful guide for working through this dynamic in a way that heals childhood wounds and enhances intimacy at the same time. In my experience, most conflicts begin between consenting adults. Wait, let me back up. I misspoke. I'm in the middle of page 402. Pete says, in my experience, most conflicts between consenting adults involve a dynamic where both people play a part and have some responsibility for a disruption in their loving connection. And it's important to note that malignant narcissists belie this guideline and are typically 100% responsible for painful conflicts. Next paragraph. Still in the bottom of page, last paragraph, page 402. Pete says, truly healing resolutions to conflict typically occur when each partner owns their part and expresses an apology about their contribution to the conflict. For deep level resolution, this usually includes an apologetic reference to their transference. A good apology sounds something like this. I'm sorry for the amount of charge I had in expressing my disappointment. While I believe I have a fair complaint, the intensity with which I expressed it was too much. I'm sorry I responded to you as if you were my constantly withholding parent. So that concludes the subsection that Pete titled Tools for Lovingly Resolving Conflicts. And now we are skipping the 13 steps for managing emotional flashbacks because we did cover that about 3 or 4 weeks ago. We went through that together. And we are going to skip ahead to page 406 in a section of the book that is subtitled Reparenting Affirmations for Inner Child Work. Now I want to pause here. I'm going to get a sip of water because I can feel my voice getting ready to tickle. And I want to invite each of you who are here right now to just take a slow breath and bear in mind that these reparenting affirmations for inner child work are some of the deepest and most profound wounds that many of us still have that might be unprocessed. So if you're in a particularly delicate or fragile space tonight, I want to invite you to maybe either, choose to perhaps step away or mute me so you can stay connected with others in the chat box, or grab a snuggly blanket and, or one of those weighted stuffed animals. Something that you could sort of snuggle with and something that you find very soothing. Because, this can be particularly ouchy, and I just want to make sure that you're taking gentle care of yourself. Okay. Yes, Hugimals, exactly. Thank you, Vanessa. I couldn't remember the name. The weighted stuffies. Yes. Weighted stuffed Plushies, exactly. Yeah, so, maybe a weighted blanket, something you find comforting. Um, or if it gets to be too much and you want to just remain here chatting back and forth with one another, please know that you're warmly welcome to stay. I would be remiss if I didn't at least throw it out there, to let you know that it might be a little ouchy for those of us who have some, unprocessed childhood abandonment or neglect, anything from childhood, okay? So we are at the top of page 406. And remember, we did go through this once before. I think it was in week 12. And this is adapted and expanded from John Bradshaw's PBS television series for the dysfunctional family. And I believe that was aired sometime in the 80s. And so expanded and adapted these from that show. So here we go. We're going to start off with the infant, and then we're going to go to toddler, preschooler, school-aged, up to school-aged child. Okay? Starting on page 406, and we'll end on page 407. Welcome to the world. I am so glad you were born. You are absolutely perfect, just as you are. You are a delight to behold. You are a gift to the world. I love who you are. Next are the affirmations for toddlers. All of your feelings are okay with me. You can be interested in everything. I love to watch you explore. I am always glad to see you. You can do things as many times as you like. You can like what you like, and you can want what you want. I like it when you say no. I like it when you let me know if I hurt your feelings. You can go off on your own or be with me as much as you like. It's okay for you to be angry, and I won't let you hurt yourself or others when you are. And I love who you are. Now we're at the top of page 407, and these are affirmations for preschool-aged children. I love how you speak, and I love to listen to you. I love how you sing and dance. I like how you think for yourself. You can think and feel at the same time. You can make mistakes. They are your teachers. I'm going to pause there for a second. I was in a class the other day. It was a really beautiful vagal toning class, all about the vagus nerve, and we were doing some tapping. And one of our statements during our EFT tapping, like vagus nerve, vagal toning session, one of our tapping statements was, mistakes are my teachers. It's okay to make mistakes. Mistakes are my teachers. It's okay to make mistakes. Mistakes are my teachers. It was very potent, that statement, for some reason. Well, obviously it has something to do with my preschool age self, right? Picking back up on page 407, you can know what you need and you can ask for help. You can ask as many questions as you like. You can have your own preferences and tastes. You are a delight to my eyes. I love who you are. Middle of page 407. These are the affirmations for school-aged children. It is always a joy to see you and to be with you. It is wonderful to converse with you. You can trust your intuition to help you make choices. I love how you have your own ideas and opinions. You can choose your own values. I love how you ask for what you want and need. You can pick your own friends, and you don't have to like everyone. You can learn when and how to disagree. You can be fair with yourself and others. You can sometimes feel confused and ambivalent and not know all the answers. I am very proud of you. And I love who you are. Just a slow, gentle breath. I find that I was bracing myself for the inner child affirmations. So the next section begins at the top of page 408, and this is a section titled Bibliotherapy, Suggestions for Bibliotherapy, which is just a fancy word for the books that Pete Walker would read if he were beginning his healing journey or choosing to heal complex PTSD. These are Pete Walker's book recommendations. Like, I feel like he's like the uncle of all trauma recovery. Like the wise uncle, like Obi-Wan Kenobi. And these are what he would recommend to like every Jedi or Padawan. And it will begin on page 408 and we will end on page 411. hand is on my heart. For those of you who are here and you are having a difficult time hearing and receiving these beautiful affirmations that each and every one of us should have always received. I just want you to know that I'm here with you. I see you. I honor you. And I would like to say, of course, it's painful. Of course, it is difficult to hear these kind words. How could it be any other way? These are things that we deserved to have said to us repeatedly for years. That list of affirmations that I just read to you are the daily sentiments that we deserved from birth all the way through the end of school. It started at infancy, and then toddler, and then preschool aged, and then school aged, all the way through. I'm talking about until we leave the nest. And the only reason I know this is because I didn't receive any of those, and I somehow found, I have no idea how, I think it was a lot of time in libraries reading a lot of books, but those were things that I said and expressed to my own son from the day he was born all the way through to when he graduated and went off to the Marine Corps. I will say this though, in between all of those lovely sentiments that I was communicating to my son, he would have you know, if he were here right now. He's shown up on our live streams, by the way, before. I don't know if you all remember that, but I think he got a timeout on our channel one time by, I think it was Ninja Taco, gave him a timeout because he was like, "Mom, say hi to me, acknowledge me, say hi, say my name during your live stream, Mom." And he was new, like he was a new person that hadn't been on our stream before. And he wasn't easily recognizable. And I think Ninja Taco or whomever it was, they didn't know that it was actually my son saying, Mom, it's me, say hi." Right? So anyway, what I'm trying to say is, if my son were here right now, he would say, "Yes, I do remember you saying these things to me and acting that way towards me. And Mom, what's also true is that you were a smother, not a mother." His words, not mine. I was definitely overprotective. I was, as the kids say these days, I was super extra. I was over the top. I was reinventing the wheel every day. I was overcompensating. I was trying to reparent perhaps myself in my parenting of him. I didn't know that's what I was doing. But in retrospect, I think I was trying to saturate him and soak him in love all day, every day, and protection and boundaries and healthiness. Because I never had any. And like, all I knew is that not having anything was very harmful. And so in my mind, more was better. But guess what? That's not how parenting works. Turns out when, like, I don't know if you all are familiar with SpongeBob SquarePants, but there's this one episode called Opposite Day. And it turns out when every day is opposite day, when you're raising a human, that's not healthy. Because the opposite of bad isn't necessarily good. It's just like too much, right? So, yeah. Yeah. it was just, yeah, I'm I'm not proud of it. I'm not proud that I was this like smothery, overly, yeah, it's not, it's, he has his own stuff to heal from, right? We all screw up our kids somehow, but I'll tell you one thing. Now that he's a father, he has told me that he forgives me because now he understands where it came from. He says he doesn't blame me. Like I get it. I get it, Mom. Like, why would you not want to just love me like so much, like too much? Like you just want to make sure that I have all the love, all day, every day, all the love, all of it, all of it, all of it, all of it. You just want to make sure that that these little ones know how loved they are, right? So for each of you, where it's really painful for you to hear those affirmations from infancy into being a toddler, into being into preschool, and then into school age kids, I just want you to know that I am here. I'm with you. The only reason I'm not ugly crying right now while I'm reading them to you is because this is like the third or fourth time I've read through this book. Otherwise, I would just be a wreck. Like last week, when I was reading through the one section that we were going through last week, that was only the second time I had gone through that section of the book. This was the fourth on the affirmations. So um, I think I heal just a little bit deeper. Um, and I think as I continue to heal, it doesn't it doesn't feel like someone's ripping my entrails out when I read something kind and warm and loving. Um, because it's like it's like when your fingers are super 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 cold. If someone tries to warm them with something that's just a little bit too warm, even if it's not overly warm, it burns. I have parts of me that are frozen to the point of almost cracking because they're so cold and unloved and neglected and desolate and just nearly gone and dead. And if you touch them, they'll just crumble, right? And so I have these frostbitten parts of me that, with just the slightest bit of warmth and love, I feel like I will die of just such excruciating pain. Um, so, Greg says, I've had that too about being saturated in it. Yes, I really have so many regrets, Greg. I do. Because I was just trying to love him well, but it turns out I was loving him, too much, that he didn't feel that he had, like, space. Um, I was very unboundaried in my love, and I didn't know that that was a thing. I didn't know what boundaries were until I was, I don't know, almost 40, like maybe 37, 30. No, I guess I was 33 when I learned what a boundary was, but it took me a good 5 years to like not overcorrect and just, I was very wobbly in my boundaries for the first, 3, 4, 5 years. And then I was like, okay, I think I understand this. Like, I'm getting better at this boundaries thing, right? And even now, still, I have to try. And um, yes, He-Man. He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. Thank you for that, John Harvey. Oh, Thundercats. Oh, yes. Oh, what about the Autobots and the Decepticons? Yes. Um, oh, thank you for seeing me, Greg. Oh, the boundaries are hard. But I do have so many regrets about the ways in which I loved my son too much to where he didn't feel like he could just be and make his own choices. And yeah. Well, what about the Fairly Odd Parents, you all? Does anybody here watch the Fairly Odd Parents? Or what about the Rugrats? Right? Yes, rocket power. Yes, I cared, Jeffrey. Thank you for seeing me. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for seeing me. John Harvey says, I am 49 years old and I'm about to be 50 next September. Yeah. I'm just a couple years older than you, John Harvey. Yes, Rocket Power was a cartoon back in the day. Fairly Odd Parents, yes. Greg says, I agree with Jeffrey. At least you cared. I just had the opposite in cold mothering. Oh, that hurts my heart, Greg. That hurts my heart. Jen's going to be 47. Candida's turning 50 in March. Oh, you all. I'm so glad we're all here together. Okay, so I really want to read this portion of the book to you because it's the very last part, I believe. Because I want you to have a list. For those of you who are list makers, note takers and list makers, please feel free to chat amongst yourselves, have fun, tune me out into the background. And what's also true is if you want to write down the title of a book that Pete Walker recommends, this is your chance. I got to turn on my little flashlight though because it's getting dark here. Hold on. Turn on flashlight. Cool. Okay, so here we go. There we go. Now I can see. Suggestions of books from our favorite Uncle Pete, top of page 408. Susan Anderson's The Journey from Abandonment to Healing. This book is oriented toward recovering from divorce, but remarkably relevant to CPTSD recovery. I've not yet read that one. Next, Shahida Arabi. Ooh, she's in my fantasy family. She's in the fantasy family and she is my niece. And he recommends her book, Becoming the Narcissist's Nightmare: How to Devalue and Discard the Narcissist While Supplying Yourself. I have read this book. It is powerful. And at the very least, it just gives you a masterclass in what to look for so that you don't fall prey to these people. Because we see the good in people sometimes, we just don't know. And what's also true is sometimes we get triggered by things that people do and it causes parts of us to dissociate. So we're not fully present and aware when they're deploying these tactics. Okay? Super important to realize that. So it's not because there's something wrong with you that they're targeting you. It's that perhaps they act a certain way that feels familiar to you and a part of you dissociates and therefore you're not fully present, and then you might miss a beige flag or an orange flag or even a red flag, right? So that's an excellent book. I highly recommend it. It's a masterclass in how to not fall for it, like how to keep your eyes wide open. And again, that's Shahida Arabi's book titled Becoming the Narcissist's Nightmare. The next book on Pete's list is John Bradshaw's Healing the Shame That Binds. We've talked about this book on this channel before. Pete says it's a seminal book on recovering from toxic shame and recovering from growing up in a dysfunctional family. I have read this book. It will It will rock you and shake you to your core. You might ugly cry. It might take you a year to read the book because you're just like, oh my gosh, it's like so comprehensive. But it is an excellent book and it will heal your soul for sure. The next book on Pete's list is Brene Brown's book titled The Gifts of Imperfection. And he says this is a guide to shrinking toxic perfectionism. And I couldn't agree more. I read this book about 10 years ago. Holy crap, changed my life. Like, seriously. Maybe it was 8 years ago, but I do feel like it was closer to 10 years ago. The Gifts of Imperfection by Brene Brown. The next book on Pete's list is Byron Brown's book titled Soul Without Shame. And Pete describes it as inner critic shrinking with an angering at the critic and mindfulness perspective. I have not yet read this book, but I want to. Because can I just tell you, I have trouble accessing my anger, my healthy anger, and I have even more trouble angering at my critic. Like, it feels terrifying to do that. I do have a good mindfulness practice going. I'm at about like 1,100 days at this point. So I have a good solid mindfulness practice in my life. And I love that this book is weaving in mindfulness along with figuring out how to access your anger and angering at the inner critic. So, for those of you taking notes, Byron Brown, Soul Without Shame. I need to read that book. Next book on Pete's list is Lucia Cappuccioni. I'm probably mispronouncing her name. Lucia, Lucia, Cappuccioni, Capacchione, and it's titled Recovery of Your Inner Child. Pete describes it as a great book on using journaling to enhance recovery. I've not read that book, but I think I could definitely benefit from it because I avoid journaling like the plague. Something about it, I don't know, it is very difficult for me. I feel like there is a direct main line from my deep well of grief that I hold from childhood directly into my journaling because I used to love to write as a child, and my mother and my stepsisters took my journals, mocked me, shamed me, invaded my privacy, betrayed me, humiliated me publicly, dehumanized me, and it lived with me forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. So a lot of my grief from childhood is directly connected to the therapeutic and just very human, raw healing aspects of the power of writing your feelings and thoughts. I've been so harmed and betrayed and shattered and just, I don't know, disemboweled. The insides of my soul just scooped out for fun while everybody laughed. Like, it's just so gut-wrenchingly painful. So I'm sure that's probably where I would get the most healing, but it's not going to be the first book that I read because, yeah, I don't want to die. So it feels like I will die if I read that book right now. So I'm just not ready. The next book on Pete's list, I'm still on page 408, 3 books to the bottom, is Davis and E. Bass, titled Courage to Heal. And Pete describes this as classic on recovering from sexual abuse. I have read this book. It was a difficult read, and parts of it were a bit shame-inducing for me. Yeah, I don't know. I'm about 50-50 on if I would recommend that book or not. There are so many other books on healing from sexual abuse that I don't know if that would be one of the first ones I recommend. But it's on Pete's list, so that's saying something. Next book on Pete's list, second from the bottom on page 408, is Beverly Engel's book titled Healing Your Emotional Self. I have read this book. It is absolutely excellent, and Pete describes it as this book advocates and reinforces the importance of angering at the critic work. Now, this book, Healing Your Emotional Self and reinforcing the importance of angering, I feel like I probably dissociated my way through this book because I did read it quite some time ago. I could probably do well in reading it again and actually participating in the exercises because I'm sure I skipped a whole bunch of it because, yeah, avoidance much. And last book that Pete recommends on the bottom of page 408 here is Dodie Goldman's book titled In Search of the Real. And he describes it as an enlightening biography of D.W. Winnicott. And for those of you who know what a total nerd I am on the Winnicottian principles of the good enough mother, this is a biography of the researcher Winnicott that literally worked with Bowlby and Ainsworth on the attachment work regarding the good enough mother in the original OG way back decades and decades and decades ago when our parents were young, like, or even before some of our parents were born. The Winnicottian principle of like, we don't need to be perfect parents, we just need to be the good enough parent. No one needs a perfect mother, but just a good enough mother. And D.W. Winnicott describes the good enough mother. And if you're curious as to what the good enough mother looks like or would be like or how to embody that, all you have to do is go on Google Scholar. I think it's google.scholar. And then type in D.W. Winnicott, Winnicott, and then type in the words good enough mother. And you will get a masterclass on basically how to not destroy your child if you are a parent, or even just reading some of that research is healing for me and younger parts of me because I'm like, oh, like, because there are parts of me that believe that I, in my mind, am too hard on my family of origin. And I fall into the trap of like, oh, they did the best they could. They didn't know any better. And then I give them a hall pass. Because that's me needing the one book from Byron Brown, Soul Without Shame, about angering at the critic and then like shrinking the critic. Like those parts of me that lean towards they did the best they could, they didn't know any better, are the same parts of me that are absolutely fucking terrified of every member of my family of origin and refuse to get mad at them. Those little parts of me give them hall passes because they thought that if they forgave everyone and just gave them a lot of empathy and compassion and kindness, that life would hurt less and that they would be less mean to her. But that never worked because they're just basically horrible subhumans. So yeah, reading the Winnicottian principles of the good enough mother ironically helped me realize that I wasn't being too hard on my family and that it was okay for me to wish and want and hope for better and to believe that I could do better for my son, you know, and that my son would do better for his kids and that his kids would do better for theirs, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, top of page 409, we are almost done for the night. We have just a couple pages of books left. A book that Pete recommends is titled Trapped in the Mirror by Elon Gollum, and it's healing from having a narcissistic parent. I have not read that book, but I feel like I would benefit from it for sure because both of my parents had highly pronounced narcissistic traits. Yeah, both of them. One of them more violent and terrifying and malignant, and the other more vulnerable or covert. Both of them horrifically dysregulated, emotionally immature, and both of them addicts and alcoholics who never had an ounce of self awareness nor the willingness to go within and heal their shit so that they didn't destroy me. So, you know, basically there's that. So yeah, I would benefit from reading Trapped in the Mirror by Elon Golomb. Golomb. Next book on Pete's list is by John Gottman. Not surprising. The 7 Principles of Making Marriage Work. I've heard good things about this book. I bought this book while I was married. Wanted to go through the book together, started to read the book, and my partner never read it. Said he would, never did. Not a surprise. I'm no longer in that relationship. That was a very long 12 years of my life. Pete describes this book as brilliant, evidence-based advice on how to gain and maintain true, lasting intimacy. Wish we would have read it. Super bummed that we didn't. Moving on. Next book is called Guide to Recovery by Gravitz and Bowden. This is actually, I believe, more of a like a textbook, like a overview and like all of them. Let's see what Pete says. But I believe I've read this book. I actually still own this book. It was part of my curriculum actually in my training. Yeah, Pete says great, short, powerful overview of recovery. Yes. Oriented to recovering from having alcoholic parents, but very relevant to having traumatizing parents. Read this if you can only read one book. Wow, that's huge coming from Pete. Okay, so for note takers, for anyone that wants to do, if Pete says if you only had like time to read one book in your whole life and you wanted to heal, this is the one. I'm going to give you the name of it and the authors again. It's called Guide to Recovery. It's interesting that this was part of my curriculum. I don't remember it being as impactful as Pete is saying it is, but perhaps because I was like overloaded with like so many books. But yeah, so it's titled Guide to Recovery, and the authors are Gravitz and Bowden. It's Grav like Victor Itz and Bowden Bowden. And again, Pete says read this if you can only read one book. Next on Pete's list, Gay Hendricks, Learning to Love Yourself. Love this book. Definitely recommend this book. No notes. It's an excellent book. And the one after this is absolutely seminal work. It is the first book I ever read when I was starting this journey. It was part of my curriculum, and it's Judith Herman's Trauma and Recovery. Pete says this book coins and fully describes the diagnosis of complex PTSD. The last half of this book is more about treatment. So the first half of the book will suck you in because you all here are healing and you're survivors. If you happen to also be a care provider like myself, if you are in the helping professions, in any discipline, in any capacity whatsoever, well, first of all, I'm sure you've already read the book, but I still own it. I probably should read it again. Like, seriously, it is a seminal work and really is just, she's like the grandmother of, well, she's in my fantasy family, obviously, because it's Judith Herman, or as Bessel calls her, Judy. Oh, Judy, like when he talks about her. His eyes sparkle when he talks about Judy. Judy Herman. Next on Pete's list, Cherry Huber, There is Nothing Wrong with You. Two of my teachers, one of my meditation teachers and one of my mentors, who has been a social worker for like 40 years, recommended this book to me. This book is amazing. Pete says, great book for overcoming shame and cultivating self-compassion. I'm telling you right now, anything by Cherry Huber will feel like a hug. Like it will encourage you to be fully present and hug yourself more. Like I learned more about being kind and patient and gentle with myself from Cherry Huber's work than a lot of other work, even more so than Dr. Kristen Neff's work on self compassion. And I know that that's saying a lot because her work is beautiful and it's noteworthy and it's peer reviewed and it's global and it's amazing. And I'm not taking anything away from Dr. Kristen Neff because she's incredible. Um, but for some reason, I don't know, maybe it's just the embodiment of Cherry Huber. But anyway, so next book on Pete's list is Hold Me Tight by Sue Johnson. This is a book that was recommended to me like 3 times last month, once 2 weeks ago, another time yesterday. This is like a sign because I've not read the book yet, but this is like the 6th or 7th time I've come across the book Hold Me Tight in the last week or month. And Pete describes it as the book, and especially the DVD of the same name, illustrates how she teaches, she being Sue Johnson, real couples to use their emotional vulnerability to develop real intimacy and a healthy attachment bond. And that's Sue Johnson, Hold Me Tight. There's a gentleman on Facebook, for those of you who enjoy sitting under the teaching of people who are male identifying. I learn I learn a lot of self advocacy and sort of like because my father was, I don't know, he had the emotional maturity of like something between like a 7 and a 12-year-old. So I really, really, really struggle with anything that is like a masculine or like anything about like protection or safety or advocacy, like self advocacy, like protecting myself in that way. Um, there's a gentleman on Facebook. Now, I know that Sue Johnson wrote the book, Hold Me Tight, but this gentleman, his name is Derek Hart, and I believe that the methods that he teaches are based heavily on Sue Johnson's work because the more and more and more I read about Sue Johnson's work and all of her research and her data, I've been in his classes. I've been in Derek Hart's classes, and you could follow him. It's free. You could follow him on Facebook. It's DerekHart. Um, I think his website is called Understanding Each Other, and he works with couples. And he teaches presence, how to be in one another's presence, and he teaches emotional vulnerability, attunement, um, warmth, kindness, presence, and I learn a lot from him that I can't quite perhaps learn from someone who's female identifying. And I will go on the record of saying this. I had a bit of a toxic combo because my mother was quite terrifying and harmful and betraying and simultaneously very unkind and conniving and vindictive and twisted and rather sadistic in her approach to things. And so all it takes is just a millisecond of a female teacher, someone with whom I am in, like, there's a power differential. I'm in a one down position because I'm sitting under their teaching. And all of a sudden, I'm gone. Like, I dissociate and I'm unable to learn from them because I am completely convinced that they are going to harm me and it doesn't feel safe to learn from them anymore. So, because my father was the passive one and he did not protect me, and I deeply, 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 and profoundly want to learn how to be protected and protect myself, I think that's why I learn. I'm more open. Parts of me are more open to learning from those who are male identifying. So I know you don't need my entire introspection and like self awareness, like going inward on the psychoanalyzation of why it is that I'm unable to learn from females versus males. But if anyone here identifies with that and you had a like overtly terrifying female parent, and then the male parent that was in your life, the caregiver, was not protecting and they were passive. Um, it's quite interesting and beautiful to sit under the teaching of Derek Hart, or even Marshall Bircher, or especially David Bedrick, Dr. David Bedrick. So Marshall Bircher, I talk about him a lot. Marshall, Bircher, Burtcher. Um, I've learned so much from that man. Like it will like I feel like I'm an entirely different human because I've been sitting under his teaching for like 2 years now. And David Bedrick, uh, another person, he has this book called The Unshaming Way. Um, and I've learned so much from Derek Hart, David Bedrick, and Marshall Bircher, and Pete Walker, and Peter Levine, and Bessel van der Kolk, and like, for some reason it feels safer. The parts of me that need to be taught and told respond to in this way. So anyway, I digress. Moving on. Again, that was the book called Hold Me Tight by Sue Johnson that sparked that entire uh, soapbox. So moving on, the next book on Pete's list is Donald Kalsched's book titled The Inner World of Trauma, and Pete describes it as a brilliant Jungian psychoanalytic exploration of trauma. I've not yet read this book. I've heard that it's very, 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 very heady. And if you love to nerd out on the brain and why the brain does what it does, this book is probably definitely something you would enjoy. And the last book on this page is a book titled A Path with Heart by one of my very favorite teachers, Jack Kornfield. Pete uh, describes this book as using meditation to increase self compassion. Again, this is a perfect example of something I'm able to learn and retain from Jack Kornfield that I struggle to learn and retain from Dr. Kristen Neff, not because of their discipline or their teaching style or anything, but probably just for the simple fact that Jack Kornfield is male identifying and Dr. Kristen Neff is female identifying. Top of page 410, and we are in the home stretch. Pete's recommended book here is titled Understanding the Borderline Mother, and the author is Christine Lawson. Powerful tool for healing from having a borderline or narcissistic mother, explores 5 different types. I've not yet read this book. I'm interested in it. I'm just in the process of healing a whole bunch of daddy drama, and I'm not working on mama drama right now, but the moment I go back to working on my mama drama, this will probably be toward the top of my list. Next book on Pete's list is called Who Dies? And it is by the author Stephen Levine. And Pete describes this as how to develop mindfulness and radical acceptance. Again, the book is titled Who Dies? By author Stephen Levine. Next on Pete's list is a book titled A General Theory of Love, and the authors are Thomas Lewis, Fari Amini, and Richard Lennon. And the way Pete describes this book is so brilliant. This is what Pete says about this book. He says, 3 brilliant University California San Francisco professors, inspiring combination of humanistic psychology, emotional intelligence, accessible science, and poetry that highlights the all-important role of copious parental love in achieving healthy childhood development, with a great deal of scientific evidence of the extensive damage caused in children who are abused and not sufficiently loved. As you have probably gathered, this is a textbook. It's very heady, but it's science backed, and I just I love how in depth these types of books go, and I'm able to sit with them, read them, go back and forth, highlight, and I always find nuggets. So again, the book is titled A General Theory of Love, and the authors are Lewis, Amini, and Lennon. Next book on Pete's list is called The Emotional Incest Syndrome by Pat Love. And Pete says this is a great book to guide healing from codependent entrapment with a narcissistic mother. Next book on Pete's list, Children of Trauma by J. Middleton Moss. Pete says it's an excellent overall book on recovery. And next on his list, we're almost done, Drama of the Gifted Child by Alice Miller. We've talked about this a lot on this channel. Pete says this is a great book for overcoming denial and understanding the profound impact of growing up poorly parented. Very relevant for fawn types. I would agree. I had no idea all of the things that I had experienced until I listened to this book. I listened to it on Audible. I think it was the first or second book I ever purchased on Audible. And I think I listened to it probably like 9 years ago. 9 years ago. It was 2016. And I got to tell you, I ended up listening to this book 3 times and going back and referencing it because there's so much in it that you don't even realize. There are things described in this book that will mirror your childhood experience if you were poorly parented. And I don't say that as a judgment, it just is what it is. We were either parented well or we were poorly parented. And it's a gradient. But this book is brilliant. Alice Miller's book, Drama of the Gifted Child. And we're almost done. The next book on Pete's list is Women Who Love Too Much by Robin Norwood. Pete describes it as an early classic and excellent great book for overcoming codependence, quite relevant to men who are fawn types. And I will say this, I bought this book for my mother because I saw that she would benefit from something that I just thought that I could see that she was hurting and that she was, I don't know, just very, very like too much of this. It was later on in life. It was when I was trying to repair my relationship with her. I had some childhood memories, but not everything. And a younger part of me just wanted my mommy and I just wanted to rescue her. And so I gave her this book, but she never read it. It sat on her bookshelf. She never opened it, not once. So there you go. Women Who Love Too Much. The irony doesn't escape me, by the way, that I'm the one who was probably loving too much. And I'm a fawn type. So almost done. The next book on Pete's list, Compassion and Self-Hate by Theodore Rubin. Pete describes this as highly motivating and common sense appeal to self-compassion. Rubin wrote from the genius level of emotional common sense. I've not yet read this book, but I have heard about it, and I think I would really like to read it. It's called Compassion and Self-Hate by Theodore Rubin. It's quite a contradicting title, right? You're just like, why would I want to read about that? What is that? Compassion and self-hate? Interesting, right? So yeah, I haven't read it yet, but I want to. And another book by Theodore Rubin that Pete recommends is called The Angry Book. And this is a book that's on my list that I knew I wanted to read. I did not know that I should be reading Compassion and Self-Hate until this very moment right now. So, but I was familiar with Theodore Rubin because I'm familiar with The Angry Book. Pete describes this book as a great exploration of healthy anger and how to reclaim it in ways that do not hurt yourself and others. And I did not make it all the way through the book because anger feels scary to me. But I do own the book, The Angry Book. And last but certainly not least, The Talking Cure by Susan Vaughn. Pete describes this book, how therapy and relational healing works, with very accessible neuroscientific evidence and an enlightened view of therapy. So that is Pete's book list. And I would be remiss if I didn't recommend to you one of my very favorite Facebook pages lately called Trauma Aware America. If you are here and you have not left yet, or if you're listening on a replay, please know that Trauma Aware America is a interpersonal neurobiology approach to healing trauma. And that is very fancy for saying it's all about human connections and safety, and how the brain and the body need human connection and safety. Basically, how to cure your CPTSD. It's everything Pete Walker says we need to do. It's all about the brain and the body. It's all about safety, and it's all about human connection. And Trauma Aware America is a free website with a Facebook page, prolific Facebook page, one of my favorites, like in the world. Like not just America, like all the world. Prolific Facebook page. Nearly every piece of content absolutely lands and is thought-provoking, supportive, helpful. Rarely, if ever, have I read something where I was like, I'm not sure about that. You know what I'm saying? So highly recommend. The page and the website are curated by a person named Shay, S-H-A-Y, Seaborn, S-E-A-B-O-R-N-E. And I'm telling you, this person, I don't know their pronouns, so I'm not going to say her, because even though I believe it's a female, I don't know if she identifies as female, and she prefers to be she, her, hers. So Shay Seaborn, I will just say, is a brilliant human. I'm pretty sure they identify as human. And I will say this. I have yet, in all of my years doing this work, come across someone who is able to synthesize information and accurately and effectively, efficiently, accurately, and warmly, in an appropriate and succinct way, disseminate information that has the greatest impact that it could possibly have. Like, I am very wordy. I say things that could be said in 5 words. It will take me 50 words. It is just being succinct and efficient and effective while also being warm is a superpower, and it is not mine. I do have a superpower of being warm. I am a warm person. I can also be pretty sassy, but I am warm. But Shay has somehow found a way to take piles and piles and piles and piles and piles of information, draw them in a picture, and use just a couple paragraphs to teach you how to heal, like efficiently and effectively, in the simplest way, in the least amount of words. I have no idea how she does it. I don't know how Shay does it, is what I'm trying to say. Highly recommend. Trauma Aware America. Wait, oh, Mary's here. Yes, Mary says, I have been really inspired by Trauma Aware America recently. Yes, right? Seriously. Yes, I also love Shay's drawings. Absolutely. Absolutely, yes. So yeah. So the ones that Pete did not mention that I did mention are, of course, Derek Hart, DEREKHART, prolific Facebook page, lots of teachings on vulnerability and attunement and conflict resolution. Marshall Bircher, MARSHALL, Bircher. Derek Hart's website, I believe, is understandeachather.com. Marshall Bircher's website is Free the Self, FREE, the Self, SELF.com. David Bedrick's website, Dr. David Bedrick, is The Unshaming Way, or maybe it's called Unshamed. I'm not sure. He teaches globally, all over the world. Baltics, East Coast, West Coast, Europe, Asia, you name it. Like, he travels everywhere and teaches the unshaming way everywhere. And it is, I've been reading his work now for about a year and a half, almost 2 years, a year and a half, probably about 19 months, not quite 2 years. And I've learned so much. It's another one that I mentioned, Trauma Aware America. I don't know if it's .org or .com. Yeah. So there is your bibliotherapy. And for those of you who made it all the way to the end, if someone could please post a comment in the rendered video, letting everyone know that the first 20 minutes of our time tonight was connecting with one another. And the content regarding Pete Walker's most recent book, Holistically Treating Complex PTSD, A Six-Dimensional Approach, that begins at about 20 minutes into the video. 20:00 for anyone who wants to put it in a comment so that it's easy for someone to find. And yeah, this has been so beautiful. I have truly enjoyed the last 28 weeks being here with you every single week. Just sort of hopping around this book. I'm very, very grateful that we will be able to do a deeper dive into it and benefit from Pete's 40 years of healing and probably just as long of him being in private practice, being a therapist, and maybe longer. Nadine says, what is Derek Hart's website again? Oh, I'm pretty sure it's understandeachother.com. And if it's not that, maybe it's understandoneanother.com. But I think it's understand each other. Yes, Jeffrey says, I wish for all of my family to be unshamed. Likewise. Yes. Thank you to each of you who chose to be here. Special thank you to Jeffrey, John Harvey, and Jatako. Deeply appreciate you. Jeffrey, I hope Mark is able to assist you and get you mod status. Oh, Jen, you too. You too. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to the family. Yes, just offering gentle care to you as well. Jen says, care to all of you from all of me. Thank you, Jen. So much love. Greg says, thanks so much. You're so welcome. Oh, you're the best. Thanks for being here. Really glad you were here tonight, Greg. Mary says, wishing everyone, shall we say, New Year filled with healing rather than necessarily happy all the time. That is too much to wish for, I believe. Yeah. I warmly welcome all the healing this year. Kitty says, this year felt cursed for me, unfortunately. I'm so sorry, Kitty. I'm offering you a lot of care, a lot of warmth. So sorry. My hand is on my heart, Kitty. So much love to you. Greg says, good night, everyone. Happy New Year to all. Thank you so much, Greg. Happy New Year to you. Candida says, thank you. And have a good night, everyone. You as well, Candida. Thank you. Nadine says, Athena, thank you so much. You're very welcome. You're very welcome. Thank you for your presence. Thank you for being here. John Harvey says, good night, everyone, and Happy New Year that doesn't suck. LOL. Thank you, John Harvey. Are you going to give me some cake? What's up with that? I need some cake. I didn't even have cake around Christmas time. What's the deal? Maybe I'll have some cake while I'm visiting with my grandson. I'm just teasing you. Hi, Jennifer. Oh, Jennifer says, safe New Year. You're very welcome. I'm offering you hugs right back. Thank you so much. Yeah, Jeffrey says sorry to hear that, kitty. I'm sending you sparkly hearts right back, Mary. Jeffrey says to a year of many, many pockets of safety. Yes, yes, yes. I second that, Jeffrey. Thank you for the cake, kitty. Oh, thank you for all the sweets, John Harvey. You all are the best. Okay, well, I will let you go. Oh, look, my voice just gave out. It waited. My voice waited almost 2 years to give, or 2 years. My voice waited almost 2 hours to give out. So that's awesome. I'm glad that it didn't give out until just now. So please be extra kind, patient, and gentle with yourselves because you're worth it, as Jeffrey would say. And I will see you soon. Happy New Year, everyone. I love you all so much. Good night, everyone.